Hi everyone. Dylan and I are back for a great week. We just
Welcome
tasted
back.
all these wines and they are delicious this week. Fun theme. So off the beaten path this week. So it's going to be wines that are unique varietals or unique blends.
Unique varietals and unique blends, exactly. It's way off the beaten path. And,
Yes.
where I'm blown away. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you guys to try these wines.
I think we both have a few favorites. We can't really decide which one is our favorite. So.
But as we go through it, we're going to just really express how
Yeah.
excited we are about these wines.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's bring her up.
Yeah, we'll get started. Just a little reminder, I know I've forgotten in the last couple weeks to bring it up, but we've been supporting a fundraiser, the PJ Ramirez Foundation, and for every tasting we do through February, we're donating $1. So I don't know if anyone has seen that in their emails or on the website, but come in, do a tasting with us, and this week is a really great tasting. So help us support the foundation. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started with the Zoker.
I think that brings up a good point. I mean, you wouldn't be doing yourself a favor by not doing this tasting.
Yeah.
This tasting is so good and so different and so unique that it really does need for you to come try it and really get exposed to wines that you normally wouldn't be tasting.
Yeah, I'd probably go through a store and pass right by a lot of these. So it's a great opportunity to try something different.
But starting out with this one here, this is a Gruner Veltliner, traditionally an Austrian wine. And this is put out by a family. Zocker means, in German it means like a risk taker or a gambler is what it means. And for a winemaker to put out basically a portfolio based on Gruner Veltliner and Riesling, which oftentimes are perceived with such a bad name, that's a big risk to take because you could end up going broke. But these guys are doing Gruner Veltliner as well as Riesling. They're doing it absolutely wonderfully delicious. I know everybody thinks Gruner sweet. Everybody also thinks of Riesling as being sweet or Gewürztraminer as being sweet. Not at all. Keep in mind, the only reason those are sweet is because it's the style that it's made in. The grape itself has nothing to do. A Cabernet Sauvignon can be made to be a sweet wine. You just don't typically see them. These wines tend to lend themselves to be sweet because of their real fruity characteristics. But this is made bone dry. And much like what he does and the way a lot of Austrians make their wines and the Alsatians is they make them bone dry. So here we have the Zocker, Gruner Veltliner. This comes out of the Paragon Vineyard, which for those of you that buy the Edna Valley Chardonnay, which is so commonly seen, Paragon Vineyard is where that Chardonnay comes from. And they also grow some Gruner Veltliner on here. And I absolutely love that vineyard. It's right off the coast of Monterey. Real nice, cool climate and real suitable for this grape.
I think it's a great one to start with, definitely. So next one, I've been wanting to try this for a couple weeks. This is our Grignolino.
All right, so the Grignolino just means little strawberry, is what it means in Italian, but Grignolino is traditionally an Italian grape that's oftentimes grown up in the Northwest. And Grignolino has these real luscious strawberry notes, and typically even though it's a red wine, it's a very light style red, or some people may call it a real deep rosé. Okay, but what you would do with this is you would definitely serve this chilled. So we'll be chilling it in the fridge to really bring out those strawberry notes. But it has this real punchiness to it. But once again, it's fermented completely dry, and it is a dry wine that goes great with food. Specifically, what I would be thinking of something like this is. I would be thinking of something like real good salty dishes like charcuteries. I think would go great with this.
Perfect. All right, so I want to take a case home already. This was one of our favorites. This is our Onesto, the Cinsault.
Wow. Yeah, 125-year-old vines. These are all head trained. Head trained just means that the trellises have come off, and what they've been allowed to do is kind of grow as a bush, and when it needs head trained, it just means that all the shoots and the canes are coming out of the top, and basically the clusters are just hanging without the support of any sort of of trellis or any sort of lines, which you would do in old vineyards. They're only producing about 2 tons per acre, which is really, really low yields, but that's because these vines don't make a lot of fruit. They're 125 years old. But if you want something that's just, it's really soft on the mouth, it's really deep, like I always say, it tells a history. When you're drinking this wine, it has so much complexity and so many layers to this wine that you say, there's a real story that's being told here about the ground and so forth. And there's obviously, for 125 years of having the roots in the ground, they've obviously have learned to communicate well together, and as a result, you can really taste that in the glass.
It's definitely a wine that has, it says on the back, truth, honesty, virtue. It's definitely a very honest wine. It's got lots of character to it.
Lots and lots of character.
Very
Good
real
character,
wine.
yeah. Yeah, I think you'll be really surprised with it. And this comes out of Lodi, which, of course, Lodi, as we know, was one of the first planted areas here in California during the gold rush period. So, as a result, there's a lot of old vines, Zinfandel, Syrah, as we're seeing here with Cinsault. It's not that uncommon to find 100-year-old vines in this area.
I don't know if I've ever tried a wine that the vines were this old.
No?
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since we carried 100-year-old vines, but we certainly have carried old vines here in the past, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. This is our point conception. This is our blend.
Our blend, and they aren't telling us exactly what's in it, but as soon as we tasted it, we knew right away that there's some Pinot Noir and some Syrah in here. But really well made, well blended. I'm trying to think of just a couple of notes on this. It's got those real big, bright cherry notes. It's got a little bit of grip, which you would not expect, especially when coming from something that's Pinot Noir based, but it does have some good grip, and it's got this little mintiness, which we were talking about. It's got a level of mintiness, which juniper berries is what comes to mind on this wine. So, there
Great
you go.
one.
Yeah, another good one.
All right, and I love my Spanish varietals, so I was loving the matchbook.
This is the 2011 out of Matchbooks. These are the same people that bring us Masbach and Chasing Venus. It is called the Matchbook Wine Company, Wine Collection, but out of Dunnigan Hills, the Tinto Rey, which is a blend of Tempranillo, Syrah, Cab Sauv, Graziano, and Petit Verdot. And really, once again, super well made. There's a depth to this wine. I mean, you can almost taste each individual varietal here. It's that complex and that layered. But I really like the way this is made.
And lastly, another case for me.
Yeah.
So we are going to Italy with this one. I think, Dylan, this was probably your favorite by far.
It could be one of my favorite wines that I've had in a long time. And I've been tasting a lot of wines these past few months. I've been tasting about 70 wines a week. And this one just stands out to me as one of my top 5 that I've had in probably the past year.
Wow.
This comes out of Calabria. It comes across as an IGP. IGP like Paul versus IGT like Terry. The only difference is IGP, what they are responsible for is all sorts of foods, whereas IGT is responsible for grading just wine. But typically, the quality that you get from IGP is typically a little bit higher, just because it goes through more testing as opposed to the IGT. But there's still, the rules to make these wines are minimal to none, which is why they're really allowed to express the fruit and express the winemaker's capabilities and do some experimentation with wines. And I think they absolutely nailed it.
It's delicious.
This is a blend. The grape is Magliocco is the grape, and it comes in 2 varieties, actually more than 2 varieties, but this one is the Dolce, which means sweet. Ironically, this is not a sweet wine. And then also the Magliocco Canino. And those are the 2 grapes that are used in the blending of this wine. It is bone dry. It's got a nice firm tannins to it.
So good.
And it is absolutely deliciously seductive. Very seductive wine. And when you taste it, I mean, it's got fruit, it's got floralness characteristics to it. It's got that deep complexity with a big kiss of vanilla there at the
Oh,
end,
yeah, definitely.
and just delicious.
Yeah, I think, when I initially smelled it, I thought of a dessert. So it's like that vanilla kind of, almost like marshmallow vanilla, like whipped cream kind of smell. So I loved it.
It is beautiful.
It was a great wine.
So that's our lineup for this week. What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I think it's a great lineup.
I'm probably going to go through at least a few of these wines before the end, before we go home here today. But just a reminder, tonight, which is many of you are going to see this video on Tuesday, but tonight, Monday night, we will have finished the Central Coast is what we will be finishing. So we're still going to be focusing on Santa Barbara tonight. We'll be going into Santa Cruz and also Paso Robles. Next week, I know, next week we go into Central Valley, which many of you will see this video with the upcoming week is Central Valley. So Central Valley does include Lodi, which we sell a lot of Lodi fruit here. We'll be talking about Livermore, and we'll be talking about really some of the great areas that are off the beaten
And you
path.
were just there.
I was just there, and I'll be back there again next week. Yeah. So, and then after that, we finish up with 2 weeks. After next week, Central Valley, then we go into 2 weeks of North Coast, which for all of you, that's by far the most popular. That always includes Sonoma, that includes Napa Valley, Anderson Valley, and all the favorite places that California winemaking has such a deep history of. And we'll be doing that for 2 weeks.
Very good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in,
Yes,
and
thank you.
look forward to seeing you this week.
Enjoy your week.
All righty. Cheers.